Ladies and gentlemen, grunts and pogues, this is Warbag, and welcome to another episode of Talking Guns. So today we have a guest via Zoom, Brandon Hervey, a VA clinician, and I'll let him explain himself or explain a little bit about what he does when we get him onto the screen. But this is the third installment of Talking Guns, and I'm pleased to introduce to you Brandon Hervey. All right, you're good, man. You're on live.
Hey, Joe. Thanks for having me, man. I really appreciate it. So I work at the VA. Hold on, I'm having issues with my audio. So yeah, I work at the VA, and so one of the things I do is I am a clinician. So I work in what's called palliative care or pain management care. And so what I do is we help veterans in comfort focused care. And
You're cutting out there. Your audio just went out. I think it's your headphones.
so it's called, can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you. So you said palliative care, right? And it's comfort-focused care.
Oh, yeah. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
So I work in what's called palliative care or comfort-focused care. And what we do there is we work with veterans that suffer from like terminal illnesses or that have very serious illnesses, like cancer, or maybe they have some other type of issue, Agent Orange a lot of times, liver disease or cirrhosis to the liver. And so what we do is we just try to kind of improve the quality of their life, manage their symptoms, and just make sure they have a better quality of life. And it's really enjoyable work. I love being a veteran myself, Marine Corps veteran that served 8 years in the Marine Corps. I really love what I do. It's great being around veterans, and it's an honor to continue to serve.
Yeah, absolutely. We served together in advisory training group, and then after that in 2-7. And I'd say pretty much all that time we had a freaking blast. And it was really cool that we were able to reconnect in another unit after. And then me being back here in California and close by you, I've been able to come up and visit a couple of times. And that's always been a freaking blast too. I mean, it's always good to see you, man. And I'm glad that you're finally done with school. I mean, you're graduated and stuff. And here you are with an awesome job that's really kind of like showing like the whole a path to success for a lot of guys getting out of the military. And it's not something that's just easy or automatic. You had to work for it. You had to work really hard for it and do a lot of studying and a lot of school.
Yeah, thanks, Joe. Really appreciate it, man. It was a lot of work. It was a long journey. When I got out, I struggled like a lot of guys, like a lot of women do, veterans do. Trying to find my way. I was like, after 8 years getting out, I was kind of like, collecting unemployment for like 6 months or whatever. And was just like living the life. But then after that ran out, I was just like, okay, what do I do now? I'm not going to go to college. Okay. I don't think I can be a cop because I don't know, I just have too much going on in my own life. I'm getting angry all the time. I have irritability. But then it was like over time, I just got sick of it, man. And luckily, I had a lot of people helping me along the way. It started off, I started taking a couple classes at the community college. I was like, okay, I can hang with this. Decided I wanted to move back to California. So I was living at my mom's house at the time back in Pennsylvania. And it just wasn't happening back there either. I kind of had left Pennsylvania to have a better life. The Marine Corps showed me something different. California was great. So I went back there and just took a chance. I packed up my car a few days after Christmas, headed out to California, started going to community college, took a couple classes. And hey, I got my associate's degree, took advantage of my educational benefits, my post 9/11, and then what's called Chapter 31 Voc Rehab. And then I went and got my bachelor's degree, and I was like, hey, and then they said they were going to pay for me to get my master's. So I was like, hey, all right, might as well go for my master's in social work. So did that. And I'm all about just giving back, man, and helping veterans. So I really enjoy this work. I want to do psychiatric social work.
Yeah.
It's something I'm very passionate about, and kind of helping veterans that are suffering from complex PTSD or other mental health related issues, because it is possible to recover. You're never alone out there. And yeah, I mean, I did it, and it's just, thank goodness there was people out there that helped me along the way. And
yeah, dude.
I'm happy where I'm at in life right now.
That's great, brother. And that's like, that's actually pretty inspiring that you just made a decision one day. You're just like, you know what, this ain't it. I ain't having it. I got to go somewhere else. I got to put myself in a place where I'm independently able to do what I want to do, and kind of like find my own way. And that's awesome, man. That's like a warrior's journey. That's like the path, you know?
It was, dude. Yeah. You know
Yeah.
what? I attribute a lot of that to the Marine Corps, because it was that mental toughness that the Marine Corps, that mental toughness is Marine Corps values that were instilled in me that are, you know, intangible, and
Yeah.
that nobody can take away from me. And I think I carried that with me out into the civilian world. The Marine Corps taught me a lot to keep fighting, to keep pushing.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
that's what's helped me get where I'm at.
Yeah, man. It's like a huge measure of courage to just like embark on this quest and stuff. You know what I mean?
Big time.
That's good. Oh man, that's great. So, man, brother, you want to talk about like, I don't know. I kind of want to get into a little bit more of that story about like the things that happened along the way. Like, as soon as you got to California, like, or did you have like any, like stumbles or anything like that on the road, you know, like kick it, man.
Oh yeah, I think there was a lot of stumbles. I mean, I was still trying to, I think my, you know, PTSD was probably maybe at its height. Was going through a lot of issues, irritability, anger, you know, kind of going through depression, things like that, drinking, you know, a lot. I was smoking, and I just wasn't in a good place, or wasn't quite sure yet where I wanted to be. And I kind of had like low self-worth, went through that whole issue. Income was always an issue. It was like, hey, you know, I just wasn't happy where I was at in life. And so, but, you know, I never stopped along the way. At least there was good people. You know, I have an amazing girlfriend that's been by my side over the years, has been my support network. I've had amazing professors that have come across in college, have good friends from the Marine Corps that have supported me along the way, and people that I've met. And really, it was just, hey, I want to change one day. You know, I was stuck in that rut, and I was like, hey, I can either complain about it, whine about it, or do something about it. And I decided to do something about it. And that was like getting healthy first. You know, I believe in like this holistic approach that I took, which was like mind, body, spirit, soul, you know, and it was really just, it was really just like getting healthy, you know, getting back to running again, dieting. I quit smoking. I could cut back significantly the amount of alcohol and stuff I was drinking.
Was that like an immediate thing, or did you?
No.
It's like go after it too, like make that decision, and then like, you know, I know.
No, and I think that's big. It's like, it's not an immediate thing. It's like constant work. It's like it's incremental, and you have to take little steps at a time, and that can take years. You know, and I think that's where a lot of guys, they get out of the military, or women, veterans, and they like want instant change, and they want to have success. And that's like where I was at. I was like, man, I want things to happen right away when I got out. But you have to understand, you know, as long as you were in there, that the amount of time that you were in the military, it might take you that much time to recover or be where you want to be when you get out. So if you're in the military for 4 years, well, it might take you 4 years just to get where you want to be at. But no, it's incremental. You can't want to do this like big change, or you'll get overwhelmed. So it was like little steps. So I started with diet, started with, exercise. Then I started with maybe like going to church and things like that, my spirituality.
Yeah. It's pretty apparent, man, because when I came up to visit you this last time, dude, You're in real good freaking shape. You and I, we freaking tied one on that night, and then the next morning you're up
Yeah.
at like 6:30. You're like, "Hey man, you want to go on a run?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, let's do it." And I was like, I was dying. I was freaking dying out there. You know,
Yeah.
like but I mean, if there's one thing the infantry will teach you, it's how to get up in the morning after freaking after a rough night
No
and go on a
kidding,
damn
man.
run.
No kidding. No shit. Yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah, man, it's just like keeping that with me, like, hey man, just keeping your body exercising, getting those endorphins and getting like serotonin and all those good things, hormones flowing, and what you eat affects a lot how you feel and things too. I just try to surround myself around good people. I meditate, which has done wonders for me. It's amazing. So just having a daily practice and a routine, meditate, get up in the morning time, exercise, just surround yourself with good people and just, good self-care.
Yeah. Like knowing things about like physiology and stuff like that, and how the body kind of works. All the little scientific facts and the chemical correlation of things that happen inside of your brain kind of makes one even more so of a believer that that your parasympathetic nervous system can like drive your ability to do a lot of things, like setting yourself a nice little reward system and stuff, and using that like dopamine and serotonin and everything to their best levels, and just having positive thought and setting yourself like a goal and setting yourself a reward with that goal, even if it's just mentally and it's intangible. It can propel you toward real greatness.
No, absolutely. I totally agree.
I think taking that holistic approach in mental strength, along with building your physical strength and stuff, and like you're talking about with spiritual strength, having that not just strength of character or anything, but like in some cases something to believe in. Not everybody is not everybody has a faith or anything that they can that they can hold on to. But
Right.
I mean, I'll never discount that as a major factor in somebody's overall health.
No, yeah, it's really just that's what spirituality is. It's not really having a religious denomination. It's not about being a Catholic or a Christian or a Buddhist or a Muslim. It's really about spirituality. It's about believing something, whatever that is to you, and whatever you whatever you believe in is your higher power, and whatever you value, what's important to you. That's what spirituality is. And I think we all have that. So
that's great, man. And,
yeah.
I kind of wish that in our younger years, when we were young Marines, we would have known more. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was saying it's important. The spirituality is important because when you believe in something is out there, or you believe in something bigger than yourself, then you have a purpose to keep going in life. You know what I mean? So opposed if you didn't believe in anything at all. So that's what sometimes spirituality is too. It gives you purpose. It gives you drive.
Yeah. It gives you a little bit of hope, or at least comfort in the fact that you don't think the world is against you, or it's just this like this hungry, empty freaking maw that's eating up everything in its path and stuff. Like the universe isn't just chaos and disorder, and that there's no way through it or way out of it. You just have to kind of like suck it up and exist in it.
Bingo. You nailed it.
Yeah, man. I want to kind of shift our subject into the to the left a little bit and talk about some of your military experience and everything. Yeah, like let's. I mean, I just want nothing specific or anything like that, or maybe everything specific. It doesn't matter what.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's get your creds out there for the crew.
Yeah. So military experience. It shaped me into the person I am today. And it's definitely plays a big part in my life to this day. It definitely has got me to where I'm at in life. And I have absolutely no regrets about serving in the Marine Corps for 8 years. Definitely met some great people, went to some great places, and accomplish some amazing things that were life-changing for me. It made me grow up really quick and appreciate life that much more than I think the average person or civilian out here. I went in the Marine Corps like 3 days after high school in 2004. And yeah, the boot camp experience for me, it was pretty hard. It was just like, it wasn't anything I expected. So I had a difficult time in it. I didn't really have too many, I had some decent role models growing up. I came from like a single parent household, but it was like, okay, now I have these like male figures and stuff teaching me what to do, how to do it.
And yeah, they're all like 22, 23 years old.
Yeah, but they seem so old at the time. Man. Yeah, they're not much older than you are, but yeah, they seem old. But yeah, you grow up really fast. So that experience was great. You know, it taught me about teamwork, camaraderie. And it was one of the greatest times of my life was to become a Marine. So did that, and then ended up in a unit 2-8, 2nd Battalion, 8th Marines.
America's Battalion.
Yeah, America's Battalion.
The other America's Battalion.
great unit. A lot of experiences there. Got to the fleet. Had a hard time at first, like everyone else, dealing with you're a boot. Yeah. You're getting picked on. You're getting messed with. You're getting tested, and it doesn't make much sense at the time why you're going through all this stupid shit until I think you go to combat, and then you're like, okay, it does. It makes you a better Marine. It pushes you to be a little harder. But yeah, it was in that unit. We ended up going to Iraq. And that was an experience, the first tour that I did there. And we lost about 8 Marines. We lost 8 Marines in my unit. We were doing counterinsurgency operations, just like you were, Joe, at 1-4, everybody else around that time.
Yeah. You and I know what that means. Could you explain that a little bit for I guess the viewers that don't understand what that means?
What's that?
Counterinsurgency operations. Because this is a thing I often have to explain in like long comments on Facebook when I'm having a fight with somebody and being a keyboard warrior.
Yeah. It can't. Yeah, because people don't get it.
Yeah.
Sometimes. Yeah. So it's more like guerrilla warfare is what counterinsurgency operations were. It wasn't your conventional warfare. And so it wasn't like, okay, these guys are wearing uniforms. We're wearing our uniforms and they're wearing uniforms and we're going to fight an actual organized army. It wasn't that type of warfare. It was a difficult type of warfare where you really didn't know. You were dealing with like small militia groups, groups of insurgents, people that wore civilian clothing, or maybe even sometimes that was their part-time. They had part-time jobs as insurgents. And so you were fighting an invisible enemy a lot of times that wasn't easily identifiable. And so they were planting bombs for us. They were planting bombs in the road, or IEDs, improvised explosive devices. They would set other booby traps, snipers, things of that sort. Teneo base stations, vehicle-borne IEDs, suicide bombers, all in various other attacks. And it wasn't an easy war because, like I said, you couldn't identify the enemy. So a lot of what we were doing was trying to find these groups of insurgents the best we could, using multiple sources, multiple tools. So we would use we got intelligence and things of that sort. And we would do raids, or we would try to find out where enemy fighters lived, and we would try to go to their homes and detain them and things of that sort.
Yeah, man. I want to just interject on some of that stuff too. Like there was no book on how to do this. All right. Everything that we had as far as information or on tactics or how to deal with this issue, it came from experiences in Vietnam or something like that. But there's no real manual for conducting counterinsurgency operations or like irregular warfare is what it was called at the time. And then it was eventually written in 2005 when David Petraeus came out with the counterinsurgency manual as a doctrinal publication. And you got guys out there like in the SEAL teams and stuff like Jocko Willink, or guys like Scott Husing, who is the company commander for 2nd Battalion, 4th Marines Echo Company in Ramadi. Reading these manuals and like on the fly, on the job, learning how to do it, or learning some of the concepts of how to do it, or just doing trial and error. You had several other books written about these kind of experiences with like the collect or the I guess the connection or the transfer from just regular soldiering and patrolling and everything into essentially policing and doing these counterinsurgency operations is very much like policing, in that you have a beat that you regularly walk and these people that you now have to get to know, and you have these massive barriers between you and them. It's not like being a cop in the United States or anything. It's like being you're in a different country. It's like being on an alien world. You're in a different country with completely different cultures, completely different languages, and completely different expressions. Like your thumbs up is their middle finger, or you're putting your hand up to tell somebody to stop is an insult, and you have to use different gestures and everything that mean new things. So we'd have to undergo a lot of cultural training and a lot of language training to be able to complete this mission, and do it on an everyday basis, and hope that you don't piss anybody else off and just make more insurgents. And that becomes also challenging because you also have to do combat operations. You are in a fight. You are shooting people, and they are shooting you, and they may hate you, and you don't have the ability to simply lash out and do whatever you want. All you can do is accomplish the mission and do your best not to piss everybody off. And you're doing this not in the spirit of just yourself or anything. You're doing it in the defense of everybody to your left and right. Because once you've screwed up, you've identified your entire unit or your entire force and stuff, all coalition forces, as the bad guy, because they don't care. Everybody that's wearing the uniform is all doing the same thing. It's like this. It's similar to now with the whole. So after George Floyd and everything, right, and after Rashard Brooks and after everybody else, this whole thing, not just the Black Lives Matter movement, but everybody started spray painting out "all cops are bastards" or the ACAB hashtags, going around and just labeling everybody in a uniform as a murderer and as a thug, and everybody the vast majority of like the 600,000 police officers in America, law enforcement officers that are out there doing the job on a day-to-day basis, are doing the right thing, and they're doing it in defense of their community. But you have a few bad apples out there that screw up. Don't just screw up, but they've been screwed up for a long time, or been screwing up for a long time. And once it gets in the public, all things done in the dark eventually come to light. Once it does, it just it puts egg on the face of everybody. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Yeah, and that's how I kind of feel about the way that we had to do business out there. It was difficult in that aspect, because we had to not only fight our own actions, but fight the actions of other units that weren't next to us, and fighting the enemy amongst that, and having to maintain this whole positive atmospheric with the local populace. I mean, nearly impossible. Winning
hearts and minds.
Yeah. And we like to use that whole phrase, like, winning hearts and minds, put 2 in the heart, 1 in the mind or something. But yeah. The only way you can actually do that is by, exercising some genuine concern. But during that block of warfare, during like Ramadi or during Fallujah or during Najaf, during these battles in 2004, 2005, you were still in the first block of this warfare, conducting combat operations, still fighting the enemy in open battle, having a real kinetic firefight where you got bullets flying over your head, or them attacking you, or doing delaying attacks, or not just planting IEDs. They were on the offense. And in a lot of ways, we'd have to transfer ourselves from offensive operations into defense operations, or into raids or security operations fluidly throughout the entire thing. And that's, the basis of military operations in urban terrain and everything else, and conducting regular warfare and all kinds of warfare, except we're not in an open field, and we're not in the woods or the jungle or the mountains. We're doing it in a city. And
Exactly.
yeah,
Urban warfare.
right. And you have like these indicators for you and stuff like when you slide yourself into the jungle and stuff like that on an insert from either helo or boat or whatever like that, and you step into the jungle or you step into the woods, all the bugs start buzzing or stop buzzing, and all the birds stop chirping, and there's like this eerie silence within the woodline, and you have to wait there for like 30 minutes conducting sills until it sets itself into a new normal, because you are the anomaly. And once you become part of the new baseline, you can begin to move about freely, but still slowly and cautiously. And it's the same way when you set yourself up and going out in a patrol into town. You have to let the environment get used to you, whether it be on a scale of days, weeks, or months of continuously doing these patrols, not presence patrols, but they're still, combat patrols. But you're making contact with locals, with elders, with people of importance and stuff like that, police officers, school teachers, or anything like that. And within a city, I mean, it's a lot of times it's the business owners and stuff that are kind of an indicator. And then you look around at the kids; those are your bugs and those are your birds. Like how the population that doesn't necessarily have the capacity to just lie with their face looks at you is your indicators of whether or not you've made that, or you've become incorporated into the baseline, or if somebody else or something else is influencing them to be against you, either by murder and intimidation, or simply by appearing there and being the new kid on the block. What's changed? Why isn't anybody playing soccer today? Why isn't anybody doing business out in the out in the bazaar today? Why isn't this happening? And you know the answer, and you just got to find the reason why. And it's impossible when that dude is like sitting there. What's that new game? That imposter game? The suspect game. All the kids are playing it right now. Yeah. Sure. Like looking kind of suspect and stuff. There's always like somebody in there that's like the imposter, and he's going around like killing all the other characters in the game. I don't know what it's called, and I haven't played it yet. So.
Fortnite? Is it like Fortnite or something?
It's not Fortnite. It's a phone game. Fortnite. It's like these little space dudes and stuff like that with like a screen on their face. It's a new game, and it made its way into meme culture, and that's where I found out about it. I haven't played it yet, but yeah. But it's basically like that, but this dude's hiding in plain sight. And the only indicator that you have that he's any different is somebody telling you. Because to you, and at the risk of sounding a little bit insensitive and stuff like that, people from the Middle East have a tendency to look pretty similar. But in defense of that, if you go to Australia and you're from like the Midwest, or you're from the Northeast, or you're from California, it doesn't matter. To them, your accent sounds like a freaking cowboy from Texas. Just straight up. Howdy. But yeah, why don't you, go ahead, tell us a little bit more about like that first deployment. Like, hit it.
No, Joe. Yeah, I think that was a pretty good depiction, man, of like how it was and the frustrations and the type of warfare you were dealing with. I think you hit the nail on the head with that one. It's pretty good. So just the rest of that deployment, it was a lot of counterinsurgency operations. Had gotten hit by a suicide bomber on that deployment. A dump truck with like 5,000 pounds of explosives had ran into our patrol base. Luckily, none of us had gotten killed.
Yeah.
But he definitely did a number on us, and we survived. What else? A lot of sniper fire was going on at deployment. So a lot of our casualties during that deployment were due to sniper fire. They were good at hitting you between the sappy plates in the armpit area.
Wow.
Sometimes in the artery area in the legs. You had to be careful. A few headshots here and there. But we did. Yeah, we lost. That was a significant number of our casualties on that deployment, to include IEDs.
Were these guys that were said to be like the Chechnyan snipers or whatever?
Yeah, it was like, I think it was the Chechnyan snipers. Yeah, they were just really, there were various sniper cells operating around the area, which was smart if you think about it. Like, I mean, we kind of look at it as cowardly, but when you think about it, it's like I probably would have did the same thing. I
Yeah.
mean,
If
they
you
were
want to
no
win, you got
match
to
for
play
us.
dirty. There's no rules in
Yeah,
war. Well, for us, there
yeah.
were rules. And that might
Well,
have
they
been one
were
of the
no,
most frustrating parts.
no, you're right, and they were no match for us conventionally. So they had to hit us. It was hit and run tactics.
Yeah.
So that's what you were dealing with. There's just sniper fire and things like that. That's what they were using against us. Mortaring, RPGs, just like drive-by kind of tactics, and a lot of IEDs. And we had lost 5 Marines on that deployment to an IED blast. They would try to the armor. They would try to blow the IEDs up underneath the carriage of the trucks at
Yeah.
that time, or the Humvees, because that was the weakest part of the vehicle. And so that's what they did one day to one of our convoys, one of our vehicles, one of our squads, and we lost some Marines in our company that day, and that was pretty tragic.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was just, we were dealing with something every week and every day. We were doing the best we could, like every other unit over there at that time, just to stay alive, keep each other alive, and to do the best we could. We were proud of what we were doing too. We were Marines. We were young.
Yeah. I mean,
So
I think I wanted to just kind of interject here a little bit
yeah,
about
sure.
the frustration that comes along with those types of operations. Is that, like I said, we have rules. We have the law of war that dictates and governs our conduct, while in battle and while at war. And we have the rules of engagement, which continued to become more and more restrictive as time went on, to the point where they were just kind of holding us into our FERB bases and everything and telling us you can't get out, toward 2011 or even beyond. Not just in Iraq, but also in Afghanistan. They experienced the same kind of friction with hire or from hire, and in instituting these wild rules of engagement, which put you in a situation that you can't return fire, and all you can do is return fire, but you can't do it without positive identification. It's some like I was listening to the Jocko podcast when he had Tim Kennedy on from years ago, and he was talking about his experience back in Ramadi in 2005, and talking about how it was very much that same way, that you can't do anything about it. Like, you can see a guy with a rifle, you can see him pointing at you, and until he actually fires that round and it freaking whizzes and cracks over your head and you are actively engaged by the enemy, you can't do anything. Like, only then can you kill them. It's like being, and he used this analogy of being a salesman, that like, you can't sell him a product until he walks up to the product, picks it up, looks at it, asks you to buy it, and then is about to walk out of the store. It's insane. Just completely insane. And the enemy has no rules of engagement. They have no limits to how gruesome or how gnarly they can be with their actions. And it was the same thing with guerrilla warfare guys experienced back in Vietnam or in Korea. There was no law of war that the enemy follows. It's us. We have to be, the freaking Jedi out here,
That's it, man. It was just very frustrating time period. Yeah, to be a Marine, ready to do your job, and it was just it was hard to make any positive identification. It was hard to just make sense of anything at times over there, and it was hard to keep your guard up 100% a lot of the times. Yeah, so definitely a very frustrating war to manage and do, but you do the best you can in a situation like that.
Yeah, man. We made it out alive, though. We made it out alive.
Yeah, and that's the important, man. Thank God, but it taught me a lot too. Being in Iraq taught me a lot too, because I think it was just about different culture of people too, trying to understand different people. I also felt for them. I felt like they were caught up in the middle of all this too, the civilians, the children at least, having to be caught in the middle of this warfare every day. And yeah, like having this war right in your backyard must have been terrifying a lot of times too. And a lot of people were, it's been 13 12, 13 years now since we've been there, and some of these kids are grown and people's lives have went on, but there's still that void that they lost their loved ones, maybe their parents or aunts or grandparents or whatever. And so I think, you know, when we have our Memorial Days and we remember our fallen and we remember our brothers, I often think now too, I'm like, well, they probably have days where they remember their dead too.
Yeah.
And so I think the sport just wasn't hard on us. It was hard on them too, that country.
Yeah. They've been dealing with that like since forever. In the Middle East, it's always usually, or not always, but well, like pretty much always been torn apart by war. And, you know, there's not a single generation that's, you know, come to adulthood and stuff that hasn't experienced the horrors and the tragedy of warfare. And in a lot of ways, they're kind of better at transitioning into that state of that normal or that new normal of being in a country that is not in itself at war, but has a war being conducted inside of it. I mean, from being the transition to Saddam, and then under Saddam, how his policies shifted and changed going into the Iran-Iraq war, and then how he went and freaking basically conducted an attack and a genocide on the Kurds up north, and then we come in, or then he tries to go south into Kuwait, yet another freaking time the country being at war for, you know, shorter, about 6 days of combat operations for Americans, but how long had the Iraqis been dealing with it? Like, so much longer, you know? And then even after Kuwait, I mean, you've got like a lull in the gunfight there, but you're still under Saddam and still under this huge fascist totalitarian rule that he had. And then going beyond that, when he was, you know, ousted from his leadership, it was a complete power vacuum, and then having to deal with the insurgency. And then Zarqawi comes in and becomes the big dog, and then it becomes like an even more rabid type of insurgency. And then going
there's there's always, like, you know, they were always 5 steps ahead.
Yeah.
There's always another person there to fill the leader's shoes.
Yeah.
So it didn't matter how many you killed or how many you captured, they were going to have replacements. And so it was this domino effect, and that's what I think made it difficult a lot of times.
Yeah, and it wasn't like centralized or decentralized leadership in the way that we conduct it in our military. It's like a cell formation. It's like gangs that kind of sense in the ether that that the top dog is down, and whoever's the next cell leadership in line to grow or has the most position and strength is going to start absorbing that territory or start muscling for power in that dynamic. It's like playing freaking Saints Row. I don't know if you ever played that video game. It's similar to Grand Theft Auto, but, you know, you've got these little gangs that own territory and stuff. And it's not like it's a game and campaign and stuff like that. But if you let it just kind of go live or in free play mode and stuff, like, you know, the territories start to change and other things start to absorb as you move on. And it's the same way here in America with the gangs that exist here. And you've got just people that are hungry for power and fame and money. I mean, yeah.
No, agreed. Yeah, I totally agree with you. Yeah.
Maybe not fame, but infamy would be a little bit more accurate to say. And how do you become infamous but doing like something that is unexpected, unprecedented, or just savage? Savage action makes you infamous. I mean, people watch documentaries all the time about serial killers, or like watch TV series about serial killers or drug lords or freaking mass murderers and stuff like that. And they find some sort of like excitement in that, like following and identifying that character with their own reward system and stuff. And it just kind of like amps up the chemicals in your brain, not to necessarily become violent or savage, but to follow that story, identify with it, and feel that rush of gaining power, like Scarface or something like that. But, you know, with but always with that amount of pride and always with that comfort and stuff like that. It's like the sword of freaking Damocles and shit like that. There's a sword hanging over your head, and you're always in constant danger of that sword falling on you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, you see how I did that there? I slid something in like an anecdote that made me sound intelligent.
No, you are intelligent, man. You're one of the people I know.
Thanks, man. Oh, dude. Oh, please go on though. Like, yeah, I know we had to experience a lot of loss and stuff in Iraq and everything, and a lot of like in combat operations, it just was, you know, sort of the order of the day, just about every day, and it sucked.
Yeah, it's part of it. But like I said, yeah, I think it helps you grow. But yeah, then it's just like, okay, so I got wounded on that deployment too. And so that's where I got my Purple Heart at. Had gotten to a attack there where I got hit and ended up taking fragmentation from a hand grenade, and luckily survived and not too serious of an injury. Yeah. So that happened on that deployment too. So that was like a game changer, a life changer, because it made me appreciate life that much more.
Yeah. And the ripple effect of just that little purple ribbon, you know what I mean? Like wearing that in your chucks and stuff. Yeah. You become something else to the
and you go through mixed feelings about that too, because you're just like, you know, so many guys, or you know, so many people in general. We take OIF, Operation Iraqi Freedom, and Operation Enduring Freedom, and you consider the amount of people that were lost, and they got that ribbon and they got that Purple Heart, and then you know, you get it for something minor or not so serious, and you know, it makes you feel a certain way. But nonetheless, I'm honored and I'm still privileged to have it, because I think it's a reminder of how close I came to death.
Yeah.
And to take life for granted. And so to me, it means many things. It's symbolic of many things.
Yeah, I think it's, and it says on the medal for military merit, right? And, and it is. It's not just like the enemy marksmanship badge, as many of us like to call it flippantly when we discuss about ourselves and everything. It's like, yeah, they got me medal, you know what I mean? And that's funny. But also for the Marines around us, for the guys looking at us, like knowing who we are, or seeing that stack and stuff like that, you become an inspiration to them, and you've set the tone for them that here is a person who is still with us, that has proven by merit that they are willing to sacrifice their body and their life for everybody else to the left and the right of them, to unselfishly go forward into the fray and stuff, and put themselves in danger. And that is a force multiplier when you're talking about like a unit, because these guys now, they look up to you, and they take a lot of stock in your experience and in their faith in you and what you have done and what you will do for them.
No, yeah, absolutely right, Joe. Yeah, so like I said, yeah, it's an honor to have the medal. You know, it's an honor to have the ribbon, and yeah, it's a reminder of a lot of things, and it's an example of a lot of things, and it most definitely demands respect. You know, so, but yeah, got one of those along with a lot of other guys on that deployment, and got back from there. We had our memorial service for our guys that we had lost, and I think that was difficult because it was just like, man, these guys were so young, and now they're gone, you know, which is like, I don't know, how do you deal with death? You know, could it easily have been you?
Yeah.
Or definitely maybe your friends, or definitely your comrades, or definitely your unit members. And yeah, it's just, how do you internalize like 6 or 7 months worth of just like so much that happened?
Yeah.
So much escaping death, so much loss, so much, you know, watching other people die. So it was like a lot of shit to take in after 7 months. And so you do the best thing you can. A lot of us went to start drinking, a lot of things of that sort.
Yeah. I mean, some people, they just get angry and they don't know how to handle it. Like some people
really there's really no time to deal with it. It's like, okay, you get back from deployment. There's really no time to deal with it over there, because when you lose someone over there, it's just like, okay, there's no time to mourn. There's no time to take a couple of days off. It's like, okay, just get back to the base and get ready to get back out in a couple hours. You don't really have too much time to sit there and mourn when people die. When you come back, you don't have too much time to mourn because you have to get ready for the next mission or the next deployment. Yeah. And so I just don't think, and at that age, you're so young, most of us, you just don't know how to really deal with that much trauma, that much grief. And, you know, it just leads, it manifests into all sorts of other things, PTSD and bereavement.
Yeah. And people think that just getting home, it's going to get better. And it doesn't. Like at the end of a deployment, like you experienced this too, you get about 2 weeks worth in Kuwait. And what are you doing that entire time is like, you know, maintenance on your weapons and gear, packing it all up, logistical movement of all of your stuff, and then of your troops back home. It's all marshaling everything back to the rear. And
exactly.
This is supposed to be, or should be, a decompression period, a place that is, you know, quarantined for you to deal with in a controlled environment a lot of those issues that you had, but you're still up and go. Even if you're not like going all the time, you're just trying to get some sleep, or you're trying to get stuff loaded up on the truck, or like moving trucks down to the, down to the docks, or like getting your gear all packed up, doing inventories, like cleaning everything off and stuff, and heading back. And at the same time, you're not even thinking about that. What you're doing is you're closing out this deployment with letters, or with emails, or like, you know, communiques back home and stuff to say, hey, I'm coming home soon. You know, come out and see me and stuff like that on the welcome home day, or they're sending out the newsletters and stuff like that to the families to let them know that they can be there. And what you're doing is not dealing with it. You're not dealing with anything that you just handled over the last 6, 7, 8, or 10 months, or like in the case of the Army for 13 months, even having like a week-long break in the middle.
Yeah,
it's not enough.
Exactly.
Yeah, you don't get to deal with it, and then you get home, and you don't have a choice because you're not doing it anymore. You're still like
deal
amped
with
up.
it in other ways, you deal with it in other ways. It's just like drinking, or whatever your thing is, excessive spending, or constant need to be in different relationships, and in sex and all that. So yeah, you deal with it in different ways when you get back, but you don't really realize it at the time yet. So
yeah, like a lot of guys, they felt
you can't get appropriate ways to deal with it. There's 2 ways to cope with things. There's positive coping, and then there's negative coping. And so a lot of times we negatively coped.
Yeah, and sometimes when we think that we're positively coping by starting a new relationship that we think is healthy, or spending time with our families and stuff like that, and kind of decompressing, it can cause a lot of damage to not only you, but also them, because 1, they don't understand, and 2, like, you know that you can't expect them to understand. And so how can you even talk to them? So you kind of just don't bother. Like you thought that opening up might be okay. Did you overshare a little bit? Maybe I did. I mean, I'm pretty sure I did. But, you know, if you're gonna poke the bear and stuff like that and keep asking what happened out there, I'm gonna fucking tell you.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. It's a wild world out there, and we got to deal with a lot of our stuff.
Sure is, man. It's a wild world, and you have to do the best you can. It's ups and downs, and and everyone, a lot of people have the potential to be successful if they apply what they learned and keep pushing, man. Yeah, it's not a fair world, and it's hard out there, but you keep going and you do the best you can.
Yeah, you just got to keep on keeping on. Life's a garden, dig it. Little Joe Dirt there. Like, then we move on to the other experiences. There's after combat experiences where you have to use your experience from combat to kind of like train others. And is it helpful or hurtful? Has it changed? Has it evolved? Have you been out of the game? And this is one of the roughest things for me, is like just being out of the game for as long as I have now. not being in the fleet for the last couple of years and not being current with the way the operations go or the way that the infantry conducts business in battle. I mean, brilliance in the basics is always going to be the main order of business and stuff, but the combat environment evolved right underneath our noses while we were acting as instructors, and there wasn't enough information to keep things up to date when we were training guys for for military operations in urban terrain, or training guys for motorized motorized ops and stuff like that with mounted machine guns, or doing coin ops and stuff, or doing long range or short range battle and stuff, and how the enemy determines to do battle. Like the way that we had these target arrays set up and stuff, they're pretty close, kind of like the enemy just went hey diddle diddle up the middle, or did a near ambush like on a choke point, or like a canalized point and stuff, and then they have to fight their way out of it, push their way off the X and get out of there, or or fight to win that battle by gaining fire superiority. And then we decided to move that from one position in the near ambush where it was flat and there was the potential for grazing fire and stuff like that, to hilly terrain where we had guys driving up, us being the guys, the opposing force, driving up onto the top of the hill with machine guns and firing down on them. And now they've got this entire barrier of terrain between them and the enemy where they can't just maneuver themselves out. And it puts them into this dilemma where, do we stay and fight and then die in a position where the ground is not in our favor, or do we move out and get out of here, try to maneuver on the enemy and stuff like that from another more advantageous position? But at that same time, we've got a down truck. How do we get that out of there? Do we just rig for tow and freaking go, or execute the bump plan and push our guys out of here and stuff like that, and leave the vehicle with all of its components and stuff behind? Like, do we have time to drop a thermite on that radio and conduct the freaking protocols for destruction of machine guns while we're under fire, or grab all the things that we can, give the enemy nothing? But there isn't a lot of time for that. And especially in a dynamic environment where all you can do is gain fire superiority and move, everybody has to do their job and the right thing, and updating, those tactics in a way that makes things, work and saves lives is difficult. I mean, but also communicating how that's supposed to be done, like I just did, in a very linear fashion, which makes logical sense. Good luck making that logical sense to somebody who's already performed an action that was messed up, that was where he was screwed up, and he, where they kind of screwed up. You know what I mean? They've committed to wrong action and essentially just screwed themselves over. Hold on 1 second here. But yeah, you've got these guys that have committed these tactics, and sometimes they may be hyped up on adrenaline and a little bit driven by their ego, and they don't want to believe that they were wrong or change their things. But then you have guys who are humble, that are able to execute changes on the fly, communicate how those changes are done, and instill a sense of confidence in their team that they have learned from a mistake and that they can do better and become more survivable in the long run. And I think that's important. Yeah. I mean, that's what I gotta say about that.
No, I mean, I'm listening. Yeah, I think you made some valid points, Joe, about that, man.
Yeah, we had a pretty good go over there at Advisor Training Group and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Being competent combat veterans with real experience was definitely a key force multiplier to a lot of those guys. And a lot of the cadre over there, a lot of them they were old retired Marines and stuff like that, hadn't been in combat operations since freaking Desert Storm or something.
Work and stuff, yeah.
and they relied heavily on us and our experience for, guys like you, me, Almond, Wallach, or like, we had to be the guys, being the Indias. And that was great.
Yeah, I mean, dude, I had a great time. I mean, I to be honest with you, I had no clue what advisor trainer group was all about when I took orders to it. I'm like, okay, I'll take orders. All I knew is when I re-enlisted, I wanted orders out to California, and so they didn't have anything really at Pendleton at the time that was non-deployable. And so I took 29 Palms, this advisor training group, and I was wondering what that was. And I remember the career planner was like, yeah, you just train units to go over to like Afghanistan or Iraq, and that's it. I was like, okay, I'll do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, it ended up being like a really important mission. I mean, you're training these guys, to go over and train the next generation of Afghans or Iraqi police or army or, whatever. And so you're playing a pretty important role, and it's important. Yeah. And it was good work, camaraderie that you did. There were some long days. It was messed up weeks sometimes, but you played an important part. Good times.
Yeah. I had a great experience getting there and stuff, and having guys like Butson. I show up and there he is, and he was one of my 1-4 brothers and stuff, and he was Charlie Company. Lots of pictures of him from the cemetery, and Lucian Reed's picture book, all of which I saw, which is pretty cool. And and then you got at the time Colonel Apachella. He was the MEU XO for the 11th MEU when I was in Najaf, so he was pretty happy to have another like freaking whatever it takes Marine there. That was kind of nice.
Gomez was there.
Yeah, and Gomez too, straight up from PSD and stuff. So we chewed a lot of the same dirt and stuff, and freaking received a lot of the same freaking rounds and RPGs and shit out there in the freaking Nodge.
Good time.
Yeah, it was really good. But then we got to go over to 2-7, and we got to bring our boy Todd Martin with us, and that was fun. Old Crazy Eyes. Good dude.
Oh yeah. Todd went to Weapons Company.
Yeah. You and I, we had a good time over in Echo Company.
Oof.
Oh my God, Echo Company. Like,
what a terrible time. I mean, I think this terrible time. It was the most terrible time I had in the Marine Corps. There's some great Marines in that company, but what the command? Oh my goodness. What a shit show.
Yeah, our squad leaders were pretty shit hot. Guys like John Hatcher, like top notch dude.
Yeah, great.
Yeah, Fugi, he's also top notch dude. Like Fallon, he was just a heavy hitter, just a real pipe hitter of a guy and stuff like that. And just having those dudes, or like real professionals like Marco Gonzalez and stuff, like consummate professional, that guy, just always on it and always willing to be a servant of the entire unit. Him and Reyes too. Like when they put on that MAI course out or that McMap course out in Hanson. Yeah, no, Okinawa. That was a lot of fun. It was a good time. I think our battalion leadership was pretty good. Lieutenant Colonel Tomich, he was a meat eater, and so was Sergeant Major West, definite meat eater. These guys are really tough guys. I think our biggest friction came with our company leadership and stuff, and kind of like fighting that fight all the time. Trying to maintain our credibility as squad leaders and section leaders, and get the respect we really deserve by performing well. And a lot of that seemed to go unnoticed.
I think the company leadership was garbage.
Yeah. I mean, it was a rough one for me too. Like fit reps didn't look so good the first time around, that kind of stuff. I mean,
but look at you, man. You bounced back and then ended up picking up staff sergeant, and
yeah. I mean,
everything turned out good for you too, man. That's what I'm happy. That's a good thing. You never stopped either. You never stopped pushing. And every rank you have, it's because you earned it and you pushed really hard for it. Because, man, I have to be honest. Like, you were definitely a harder worker than me when we were out of ATG and when we went to 2-7. You were definitely dedicated and motivated, and no matter what they threw at you, whether it was a page 11 or just being,
man.
you know, getting an ass chewing and just feeling defeated, you never stopped giving 100%.
Yeah.
So that's what makes you a badass.
Yeah. Appreciate it, brother. That, yeah, it means a lot. And that's like the mentality that I have. You always have to serve in your best capacity and stuff. I mean, we've only got 100% to give, and you've got to give all of it. Like for me, it was about always giving all of it. Did I screw up a lot? Like, you know, outside of work? Yeah, I screwed up a lot outside of work. But when I was at work, I mean, the idea was to be brilliant there. And even if, like, you know, I'm going out on a range, like for the whole last day, and it's like 120 degrees out and stuff like that, and I got no chow, and I have to freaking go and grab an MRE from the exercise force or some shit. I mean, I'm still pushing.
Yeah.
Like, someone hits my Camelback and realizes it's empty after about 8 hours of being out on the range. It's like, did you drink any water today? Or did you drink all your water already? And I'm like, no, I didn't really drink anything. It's like, nah, man, that's not good.
There's never any water in it.
Yeah. I'm like, freaking, I was 120 pounds of twisted steel and sex appeal. What are you going to do? You know? Oh yeah. And then they try to ninja punch me. They try to get me for being underweight. That was great.
Yeah, I think you're the only person I know. Yeah, you're the only person I know in the Marine Corps that almost got kicked out because you were underweight.
Yeah, straight up. It's like, what are you gonna do? Put me on freaking BCP? Like, sure. See if you can double my comrades. I could use more money to buy more food until I'm at weight. That would be a cool little freaking protocol. That's like reward for being like extra skinny. I don't know if that's a good thing. Maybe we shouldn't stand behind that or champion that cause. But
No shit.
if I could get another $320 a month, that'd be cool.
Yeah, hell yeah, man.
Yeah, brother. Oh, dude. Yeah, 2-7 was a freaking rough go, but then
No, but it was a lot. I'm glad that I had that experience too, because I met some really great guys that I still talk to, are my friends. So
yeah,
2-7. And it was nice to be part of 1st Marine Division and
yeah, man.
So some solid people in that unit.
Yeah, bro. And like you'd think that like you're never gonna have like any closer relationships than with anybody from like your 1st unit and stuff, and that's always gonna be like your main like unit pride unit and stuff. But a lot of times those follow-on places where you meet somebody who has a completely different experience and you can share with each other these different experiences and stuff, it builds a whole new relationship and friendship with somebody else. And in my case, some of those have become stronger than everybody else. You're one of my closest friends, man. Like,
oh, yeah,
for real.
brother. You are.
Yeah. Like, I don't know anybody else whose freaking house I've been to like 2 and 3 times and everything, just freaking chilling and hanging out, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I haven't freaking driven 4 hours away to go just see somebody else like out of the blue.
Nah, brother, always appreciate it, man. Man, you're always welcome, dude. I've known you for like over 10 years now, man. One of the greatest guys I ever met. So, but we've known each other this long. We'll be in contact for life, and you're always welcome here, man. And
yeah, brother, that's I'm glad to hear it. And I'm glad that that I got you and stuff like that. Like as a friend for life, you know. It's pretty freaking awesome. That's yeah.
Bro.
So I'm yeah. I think that's a good place to freaking go ahead and cut this and stuff, man.
Yeah, I definitely can. Thanks, Joe, again for having me on here. Definitely let's do this again. Continue.
Yeah.
And yeah, man, I enjoyed it.
Yeah, brother. I was glad to have you on and everything. I think this is a very positive message, and that like when it goes out there into the internet, this can potentially be the one that I actually do submit to Apple Podcasts, and they don't like straight up ban me and tell me that don't ever call us again and try to get on Apple Podcasts or be official because you're trash.
Yeah, I think it'll be okay.
Yeah, brother. Like let me switch camera angles here and stuff, do the side by side. So yeah, really good to have you on here. And if do you got any I mean, maybe on the back end here, we can get some like info from you and everything like that for like any sort of links that you want to share for like help or anything like that, or like, you know, charities or organizations that you kind of want to buff up.
Yeah, Yeah, I would love to.
Yeah, it'd be good. All right, man. I'm gonna pull you off camera here and stuff like that, and hit the mute on your thing. We'll continue our conversation off camera and everything, and it'll be cool. All right, give me a second
Right,
to
Joe.
close out the show. It's great
Later,
seeing
man.
you. Yeah, later, brother.
Great seeing you too, man. Be careful.
Yeah, brother. I'll see you.
Yeah.
All right, so there you have it, Talking Gooners. There we go. Brandon Hervey, real good friend, and a real positive influence for the veteran community, and not just that, the American community as it goes, to say that there's more that you can do, and just never give up. And sometimes, if your life's just not going in the direction that you want it to, change it. Have some courage, some intestinal fortitude to take a risk and dive into something and go head first, and then, but not with reckless abandon. Mind your whole mental, physical, and spiritual wellness, and becoming that well-rounded person and stuff in order to, like, do better in life. So he's definitely done that. He's an example to all of us of what we can achieve, and he's still serving that community. And I mean, it never stops. The show never stops, So that's great. Appreciate having you all here on Talking Guns, and this has been the third installment of Talking Guns, and we will see you again very soon.